Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and may we always be granted good health. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Rio. I came from Jakarta, Indonesia. Currently, I am a student of Faculty of Engineering, University of Indonesia, with a keen interest in the field of transportation studies. Please allow me this opportunity to present my paper titled Ability and Willingness to Pay Analysis on Formulating Kepulauan Seribu Inter-Island Transport Tariff Subsidy. This paper is written as a part of my final assignment as a student under the guidance of the esteemed professor whom I respectfully acknowledge, Prof. Sutanto and Prof. Nahri. Ladies and gentlemen, connectivity between one region and another is crucial for fulfilling human needs both within the mainland and between land masses. And to attain this, humans are confronted with transportation cost. Kepulauan Seribu Regency is currently served by the single mode of transportation, which is maritime transportation facilitated by government-owned vessels, traditional vessels owned by local community, and private tourist vessels. Residents of the Kepulauan Seribu in general classifies as a low socio-economic status, accompanied by a decrease in fish catches. If we talk about the phenomena between Kepulauan Seribu and Jakarta mainland, we talk about the Kepulauan Seribu firstly. The availability of traditional vessels serving maritime transportation has also helped due to economic constraints, leading them to rely on weekend income when non-Kepulauan Seribu residents visit the island of tourism. Traditional vessels are still commonly used by the Kepulauan Seribu community, especially when simultaneously residents fail to obtain government vessel tickets due to limited frequency or perhaps because they need to transport large quantities of goods. On the other hand, traditional vessel operators, who are also part of the Kepulauan Seribu community, have operational limitations such as low vessel speed, uncomfortable vessel conditions, and so forth. Data from the Central Statistics Agency reveals a consistent downward trend in the socioeconomic condition of the Kepulauan Seribu community over the past 6 years. And if we compare the phenomena in Kepulauan Seribu and the Jakarta mainland, Jakarta mainland has integrated and affordable public transportation services in mainland Jakarta by using subsidy. Between two phenomena, we can have conclusions. There is imbalance and unequal in the transportations, so it should be balanced and equal. The implementation of good governance must adhere to the principle of justice and equality, ensuring equitable access to services without discrimination by UNDP 1997. The principle of equity in transportation frames within distributive justice, highlighting how social, economic, and government institutions shape the distribution of transportation benefits and burdens in society. Pereira et al., 20 and 21. Public transport subsidies typically aim to mitigate negative externalities, reduce costs, and boost passengers' numbers. By William, 2008, in Guzman and Hassel 2022. So with this opinion, we can get the conclusion that subsidy is very useful if we can implement in the Kepulauan Seribu transportation maritime transportation of Kepulauan Seribu. Study method. This study aims to analyze the ability to pay and willingness to pay of Kepulauan Seribu residents for sea transportation services with the goal of determining appropriate subsidies based on calculating vessel operational costs. The analysis of vessel operational costs will yield a tariff of IDA per pax for a specific load factor representing a commercial tariff or tariff without subsidies. Through ATP and WTP analysis, we aim to ascertain an appropriate rupiah per pax amount based on passengers' capacity and inclination to pay a specific fare. In this 2D method, we use the 5 method. The first is sampling. I use Lovin formula. Sampling is used to get number of the respondent. Second is utility function. I use multiple linear regressions. This analytical technique is employed to construct a utility function representing the level of usefulness perceived by respondents based on variables deemed fundamental for individual travel by vessel. And then I use probability, especially binomial logit. This analysis aims to derive the Kepulauan Seribu community's willingness to pay as a benchmark for determining tariff subsidies. For vessel operational cost, we have the Minister of Transportation Regulation number PM 66 of 2019 with delineates mechanism for determining and formatting varied transport tariff calculations. The last is ability to pay. Ability to pay represents an individual's capacity to finance a service, predicated human the income accrued or the upper threshold of income earmarked for service remunerations. Result and discussion. Sampling. From population of the Kepulauan Seribu people on 2022, there are 29,997 people. By using error margin 10%, considering factors such as survey locations, condition, cost, distance, and study durations, it could get 100 respondents. The real sample obtained 134 respondents. B. Ability to pay. Average income in Kepulauan Seribu per capita is about 4.5 million rupiahs. Average percentage 40.33% per individual. Average trip per month 17.83 trips per month. From these 3 data, the result for ATP is 45,989 rupiahs. Result and discussion on willingness to pay, or WTP. It's used to simplified nested binomial logit is used to derive utility function as illustrated in below figures. So first, we have to measure the sailing or no sailing situations, and from that we can get the utility function sailing equals to 7.888 minus 0.077 times tariff. Currently, traditional vessel tariff is at 72,000 rupiahs, while the least expensive this vessel tariff is priced at 40,000 rupiahs. There is a growing ambivalence among individuals regarding the decision to embark on a voyage, particularly when faced with the highest fare option of 100 and 2,500 rupiahs. Furthermore, an unanimous tendency emerged amongst individuals to abstain from sailing when the fare exceeds 170,000 rupiahs. In the second step, from the sailing situations, we can divide with 2 situations, which is when people use kapal dishub, when people use kapal tradisional to sail. Kapal dishub means the vessels owned by government. Kapal tradisional means the vessels owned by people of Kepulauan Seribu people. From this, we can get the utility function for the dishook vessel equals to minus 1.037 minus 0.060 times goods plus 0.052 times tariff differences plus 0.047 times frequency ratio. From this descriptive situation, we can make a conclusion. When tariff parity is achieved, the preference ratio between dishook and traditional vessels stands at 25% and 75% respectively. However, empirical observation indicate a shift in this preference dynamic, such that when the disparity between dishook and traditional vessels tariffs amounts to 3,000 rupiahs, the preference ratio alters to 64% in favor of dishook vessels and 36% for traditional vessels. This inclination towards traditional vessels, notwithstanding their relatively higher tariffs, stems for several factors. The consistent availability of traditional vessel services, the ease of transactional process, example ticket procurement, and the versatility of the traditional vessels with accommodate both passengers and freight transport without constraint. Vessel operational cost. The calculated vessel operational cost for transportation service vessel indicate an average cost of 6,993 rupees per passenger per mile, excluding subsidies. This figure will serve as a benchmark for determining subsidy allocation related to passenger fares for services provided by both transportation agency vessels and PELRA vessels, which are managed under a unified administration, as we can see in the table below. And now the conclusion. The ability to pay of the Kepulauan Seribu residents is 45,989 rupiahs. In the first phase of the willingness to pay analysis, comparing the decision to sell versus not to sell, the utility function derived is U sailing equals to 7.888 minus 0.077 times tariff. Residents begins to hesitate between sailing and not sailing at the highest fare of 100,000 and 500 rupiahs. And if the fare reaches 1,000 and 32,000 rupiahs, the majority would opt not to sail. In the second phase of the WTP analysis, comparing government-operated vessels with traditional vessels, the utility function is U dishook equals to minus 1.037 minus 0.060 times goods plus 0.052 times tariff difference plus 0.057 times frequency ratio. Despite higher fares, residents tend to choose traditional vessels because they are always available and easy to transact with ticket purchase, and allow goods transportation without restriction. The vessel operational cost for government-operated vessels is 6,993 rupiahs per passenger per mile without subsidies, averaging a fare of 235,594 rupiahs. Several scenarios for unified management with a single fare system are proposed. For a fare of 40,000, the required subsidies are 216,306 rupiahs for government-operated vessels and 38,330 rupiahs for traditional vessels. For a fare of 5,000 rupees, the subsidies are 203,716 rupees and 38,333 rupees respectively. For a fare of 60,000, the subsidies are 188,539 and 15,156 rupees respectively. For a fare of 70,000 rupees, the subsidies are 168,183 rupees and 2,791 respectively. To receive operational cost subsidies, PELRA vessels or traditional vessels, we say, must be under unified management by the government, specifically the unit pengelola under the Department of Transportation of the Jakarta Special Capital Region, DKI Jakarta, ensuring consistent service standard for Kepulauan Seribu resident. Okay, on this last slide, I would like to say thank you very much for your attention and for your kindness to watch my presentations. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.